the Robby Framework Show, episode 16. In this live stream, we share news about our project regarding our robotics framework. We share some news that might be going on in the tech ecosystem, and then we open it up for questions, unless Lee is wanting to demo something from the framework. So Lee, I'll let you take it away.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna do news first, right?
Yeah, I think we should do news, and then we can turn into, or kind of switch over to start giving updates about the company or where the project
Yeah.
stands.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. Well, I ran into a few things over the course of the week. The first one is sort of a tech thing, sort of on the verge of a tech thing, but it was a tech thing for me. I've been Francisco, I've been a manager more than once, a dev manager. Um, and when in that position for me, in dev shops, they're almost always predominantly male. Although we did pretty good at our last one. We had quite a few women in there, and it's getting to where there's more and more women in it. But anyway, um, I've always had this tendency to refer to the team as the guys. And I ran into this article over the week about guys as a 4-letter word. And it was interesting to me because it's something I kind of picked up on my own over the last couple of years of trying to not say guys when I'm talking about the team or a group of people, particularly if there's a woman in the group of people. Uh, she's not a guy. So it's just kind of, it's something I hadn't really seen before. I guess the question becomes, is that just political correctness or what's it about? Nowadays, you can't be sure they're really female. Well, that's true too. You can't always be sure. And you don't want to offend them either. And the truth is, to me, it's not so much a matter of politics or not offending people. I want to be inclusive of the people in the team, and guys doesn't do it. Particularly when I write emails or something, I try to never say guys. I say folks or something, but that sounds weird. So we need a new word for that, I think. Something that makes it common and familiar like guys, but that includes everybody. So anybody has any brilliant ideas for that, then you can let us know, and maybe we'll be famous for coming up with a new word for guys.
Yeah, that would be.
Devs, yeah, there you go, devs, yeah, and that's when I have actually used devs sometimes when I get into that.
Yeah, but sometimes they're not, like, especially like you mentioned, Lee, when you send an email, not everybody is a dev, right? You could be in a situation where you might have leadership in that email or something, and
That's right,
yeah,
yeah,
so it gets
QA
tricky.
team or who it's yeah, it's tricky, and it's an interesting thing because you don't want to get all stilted with it, but at the same time, yeah, I don't want to be excluding people.
Yeah, yeah. So what I do, like for example, at work, when I need to ask for help, I say, "Hey, team," and that
Yeah,
includes
yeah,
everybody, right?
that's another one I've done too.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not just me that's run into this question.
And it's funny because the other day I was watching a video on TikTok, and it was about the Spanish language, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know if you heard the term like Latinx.
Yeah.
So the whole thing comes from like the male. I guess that there's gender in the original word Latino, right? So
Right, right.
it's not
Latina or
it's
Latino.
yeah.
Right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
they started doing the Latinx, and now they started
Okay.
spreading it to other words, right? Like when you say everybody, There's a word that is todos, and the O signifies the male gender. Um, and there has this guy that's really smart, and he explained, he broke down the whole thing, saying that there was a language before Latin, and I forget what it was called, but he named it. And there was no gender there in that language. So in Spanish, we added the A to sort of stand for gender. So like if you want to say todas, meaning all women, um, they got like their own word to say todas. But for men, we kept using the same one that was there before, right? So todos, like all men, is still the same word. But for women, they there's a new word that signifies woman, todas. So todos in comparison to todas. And now they started doing the X, right? To kind of,
Codex.
yeah. So it's like, you're gonna start like, messing up the language because of this political correctness thing, you
Well,
know?
yeah, and that's a real part of it. It gets real stilted and weird, and how far are you gonna go? And it's really an interesting time right now in deciding these things.
Hmm.
And I hate to admit it, but I always wondered what Latinx was. I never really knew, and now it's explained to me. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, it's difficult because, and if it's accepted by society, right, then so be it. And then obviously it's more accepted than, years ago. But is it going to change the language? And languages, will not be able to change as fast as maybe, society does. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like when you start talking about laws and tech, tech is moving so much faster than laws,
Yes.
that there's a lot of tech that is not covered by by laws, right? So yeah, that was a good one, Lee.
Okay. Well, on to the next one here. This is one I picked up on today. Um, it was just kind of interesting little thing. Apparently, Microsoft is complaining because Sony is paying people to not put their stuff on the Microsoft's Play Store for console games.
Wow.
So Microsoft's calling that unfair business practices, which is a lot like the pot calling the kettle black, but it's, but that was just a little interesting thing, um, but not that surprising.
Wow, but didn't Microsoft just buy like a big gaming studio?
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it was Activision or one of the really big ones, one of the
yeah,
monsters. Yeah,
yeah.
and that's part of the deal, is because they're trying now to get their fingers in all the pies, like Microsoft tends to do, and they're complaining because Sony's trying to compete against them,
So what's Michael saying?
saying Mexico and Latin America and South America stole our language and are now changing.
Well, you didn't. Well, I guess if you want to go there, Michael, we didn't invite you over. All right, you guys
That's
came.
right. That was a great La Raza saying. That was, well, how did it go? We didn't cross the border crossed us.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Michael is saying it's Blizzard, the studio
Blizzard.
that.
Okay. I thought I
Yeah.
saw Activision, but okay. Yeah, I would trust Michael before I would trust me on that. Let's see. What's my next thing here? So we talked about Dali last week a little bit,
Yeah, we
and
did.
I ran across this kind of interesting article with this woman going through what it took. I wonder if I could get away with sharing my screen.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Let's
As
try it. Let's see.
as long
Seems
as
like
there
it
is.
always breaks when I do this, but Okay. So what do I do here? Share screen. I'll bet I do share screen. Okay, share. Let me know if you can see it.
Yep, I see. Yep, I see your screen yet.
Wow, actually worked. Okay.
I'm not sharing it yet, but I'm seeing your restream and.
Okay.
So if you can share a tab on your browser, Lee, or you can share your whole screen. I think right now you're sharing your whole screen.
Okay. Well, I'll just make this full screen maybe.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and pull it up.
So let me know when you can see it.
Yep, we
It's
see.
kind of a fun picture. So her idea was a llama playing basketball. And what was interesting to me was what she went through to get to this point. She talks about she spent $15 in Dolly credits to do this, which is apparently like 100 credits, which, near as I can tell, exactly how it works, and people will probably correct me here. But you get these prompts where you can say, okay, I want to see this. And you start with llama playing basketball. And when she first did that, when she said that, she got these little cartoon characters like this. And then she went to a realistic photo of llama playing basketball. Anyway, it went on for quite a while through all these different things until she finally got to what she was looking for with the llama in the jersey playing basketball. So I hadn't played with this dolly yet, but it was interesting to me to kind of see the progression of how it works and what you go through to get what you want out of it. And they're really interesting, weird pictures.
Oh yeah.
The one she ended up with, I love. That's a llama going for the big slam dunk.
Yeah. And if you think about it, so there's a big YouTuber, Marquez. I forget his name. I don't know if it's Brownlee, but MKBHD is his channel, and he has millions of subscribers. And he did an episode or a video where he put his graphic designer to compete against Dolly, and so they gave him, I think it was 3 different images that they described to the guy and then described to Dolly. And it was hard to tell like which one was the one that the graphic designer created versus the one that was created by Dolly.
Wow.
So yeah.
This is the beginning of some really interesting and weird and marginally scary stuff.
Yeah. There was another video. See, I didn't come up with any articles, Lee, but I watched so much YouTube that there are some interesting things I could bring up. Um, there is a guy who started a startup just by using what's it called, OpenAI, the makers of Dolly.
Mm-hmm.
And what he was doing is just coming up with titles for either for blog articles or for YouTube videos using AI, which is something that is available in the tool that we use for our videos. But this guy, just by hooking up to the OpenAI's API to come up with titles or headlines, he was able to make a business out of that. He sold
Wow.
it. After a year, he sold it for 4 million. The website is Headline now. Headline. Headline was already taken, so he used the M instead of the N. Headline.com. And I don't know if the guy still, well, if he sold it, I don't know if they kept him on for a while, but I'm sure that still running, and I wonder what it evolved into, but that was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, here it is. I'm looking at it. Interesting stuff. Wow, and you got 4 million for that. You know what? heck with all this writing a big software program and all of that. I want something like that, 4 million and walk away.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, and there were other businesses. The other one I remember is like somebody who started, and this wasn't something that could be really monetized, but there was a person who started doing research on trying to find out the origin of the different dishes that you might run into. One example was broccolini. Um, that the I guess the earliest mention of it was in 1992. And this person went ahead and did that for many other dishes. I mean, I don't know how you could monetize it,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's just something interesting. Like, oh, when was this invented, right? Or who or where did it get created? But I just thought it was interesting.
So Michael's selling pixels on his webpage. How much for a pixel?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Have you? I don't know if I mentioned, but there's geez, and I can't remember the name, but they're selling real estate in the metaverse.
Real
Yeah,
estate in the metaverse.
yeah. So I forget
What's
what
the
the.
metaverse is?
So there's like this. I think two big companies that are doing that. So I guess the way I picture it, it's a map, and you go and you buy your plot, and you're hoping that it's gonna go up in value. Um,
Right.
just
So
like
like Second Life did that long time ago.
okay,
Yeah. If you're talking about like the land was electrons basically. I mean, it's all just stuff on the website, right? Or is that?
so yeah, so
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah, it's all
That's real
virtual.
estate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Did you ever hear of Second Life?
No.
It was like the first kind of MMO thing that was out there. It wasn't really a game. Uh, you went and created things and built houses, and there was all kinds of you could program to it and all kinds of different stuff, and then you could sell what you did on the site. And it's still around. But it's interesting because I believe what it's making its money at now is people have turned it into a porn thing.
Oh
So
wow.
they they create these sexualized avatars and sell them to people. I saw some pictures. It was fairly gross and fairly weird, but interesting that it seems to still survive on like this by turning into a porn thing. Okay, well
Michael
let's see what I got. Huh?
Michael says that he's heard of Nine Lives, but not Second Life.
Instead of Second Life, Michael hasn't heard of Second Life. Wow, man, might be the first time or else I'm remembering the name wrong. But no, that's with Second Life. Okay, what else do I have here? This was an interesting one. Actually, that got an FTC website, or I found a link to it. FTC's Federal Trade Commission, and they're actually investigating. They're talking about putting bigger regulations and restricting corporates' ability to do data surveillance on people.
Oh
And
wow.
to up the rules for keeping any data they do collect about people more secure. Which I like the way, that I am so all over that. I'm so ready for them to do that. The idea that they're watching everything we do and storing it in a giant database, and then they can get to it later. I don't like that.
Yeah. Scary stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm definitely in favor of that one. Let's see. I got one more. Oh shoot! I forgot to take the phone out of here. We're gonna have to hear the phone ringing in the background for a little while. So my other one is they're using satellites to identify methane sources. Oh, good grief. Hang on.
You're muted, Lee.
Oops. Hit the
Yeah,
button.
so I think the Michael says the FBI is calling you because you're
Yeah.
talking about that stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was. Actually, it was the guy saying, "I am Social Security Administration, and we're coming to put you in jail." I get one of those calls about twice a week.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was interesting to me. They're using satellites to identify these giant landfills that are putting out too much methane, and they want to find them because it's something they feel like they can mitigate and actually help climate change with it. But
Okay.
it's kind of cool they're able to use existing satellites to go do that using the spectroscopy that they do on the satellites already. So that was kind of an interesting one to me.
That's pretty cool. So wow. So how are they going to mitigate it?
They can do a lot of things. They actually, I remember they were doing it with mitigating methane at the one, Shoreline Amphitheater up
Yeah.
in the Bay Area.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, they had a problem with it. It was built on a landfill.
Oh,
And I remember I went there when they first opened it, and you couldn't sit in the place up on the grass. It just stunk all the
really?
time. Yeah, and it was methane that was coming out. So they built things that suck the methane out of the air somehow. And actually, they got the smell to go away. And I think that's kind of the basis of the technology they're going to be using for this, but I'm probably wrong.
Wow.
But it was interesting to me to be able to see it with these satellites and go and, you takes the questioning out of it. That's kind of becomes an objective opinion about, oh, yeah, that's bad.
Wow.
So that's it for my news stuff for this week. You got to get some next week, man.
Yeah, I need to get on it.
So you want to talk about robotic communities and the company?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
So kind of an interesting week in the company. We're doing the AdWords now. We're starting to get hits. We're getting a better stream of hits to the website than we ever had. But we're still not getting the conversion. So now our big challenge is to turn those hits on the website into registrations for our beta. So if you're coming to our website, go register for our beta too, and then actually use it. That's our pitch for the day.
Yeah. And there is actually a link in the description of this video. So if you want to go check out the website, it's right there.
So the other thing that's going on this week, I worked on this blog article about something we've been talking about for quite a while now. I've really been thinking about it for the last year or two. And I'm really starting to work on defining it more and kind of gelling the concept of it. It's the idea of robotic communities and what that's about. And it's just it's really just sort of a way of looking at networking robots together and how, what it's big thing right now, big buzzword that I'm seeing in robotics right now is collaboration between robots and what that looks like and how you do it. And the idea I've had for this for quite a while is that we want to build robotic communities. We want to build communities of robotic devices that are amorphous, that can be any combination of robotic devices that are all working together, but they're working together in a community. And the idea of why I'm calling it a community is because my idea is to really base it around kind of an ideal human community. So, in an ideal human community, you have people that are brought together as a community either by living around the same place or by being in the same online community or whatever it is. Some kind of just shared interest or place or location or something is bringing them together as a community. But they're all individual people. And what their background is, or any of their personal attributes in an ideal community won't affect how they can interact with the community. They all have equal standing within the community, regardless of what their background is, where they came from, or anything else about them. So you have that, but at the same time, they're all working together to do for the betterment of the community. They're cooperating, and they're all devoted to the well-being of the community. But at the same time, they're all still independent entities. On a day-to-day basis, they all make their own decisions, do what they want to do, ideally, within rules. You can't do things that are damaging to the community. Mm-hmm. But you make the decisions about what you do on a day-to-day basis. You live your life as part of the community. Then there's this other concept with communities where there's almost always, if the community has any size, there's community leaders that speak for the community and may make decisions for the community. But they still, you could say they're running the community, but they don't, because all of the individuals in the community are still doing whatever they do. They're still making the decisions about their day-to-day lives and living their lives, but they're living within the community, and the community leader is kind of providing a structure for the community. Mm-hmm. The community leader knows what the goals of the community are, knows what the rules of the community need to be, enforces those rules if they have to. But other than that, they pretty much leave the members of the community alone. And my idea is to take that concept and apply it to grouping robots together, robots and automated devices. So if you put it into that, like the example I use in the article, it's a kind of a fantasy thing, but it's getting less and less fantastic the way people are advancing things. But so say you have a car wash, an automatic car wash. So you don't really think of that as a robot, but it's an automated system, probably using PLC, so it's got inputs and outputs and sensors that are running you through a little automated process. So say I have that car wash and somebody invents robots that you can use in groups that will go and pick the car up at the end of the car wash and drive it over somewhere and then detail the interior, vacuum it and scrub out the interior. And I've got 4 or 5 of these robots that can do that. So the question, and where the whole community thing comes in, is how are those going to interact with each other? How is the automated car wash going to interact with the group of robots? And how does that work? And that's where bringing them together in a community with a community leader comes in. So the community leader in that case would know things like how many cars the robots could handle over a given time to keep from getting overloaded, and how to tell the car wash to stop for a while, not let any more cars in because the robots are getting backed up. Knows how to watch the robots, and if robots start doing crazy things and tearing cars up, then they need to shut that one down. So that's the enforcement part of it. And that's the community leader in that situation, which in real terms, what we're talking about, that's a program of some sort of a computer program or something that's sitting there and running that, knows how to talk to the car wash, knows how to talk to the robots, and is orchestrating how they interact with each other. based on these rules of a community. Now, if you take it a step further, and what if I have a fleet of autonomous cars and they're a community also? And their community leader is doing things like saying, okay, each of the cars are this is going to be those cars' duty for the day. And these are the cars that are working today and the ones that aren't. And these are the maintenance schedule for cars. And certain number of cars need to go get washed in the car wash. So suddenly I have another different community that includes the car washes and the autonomous fleet. So that has its community leader that understands the things it needs to understand to make that happen. And that's my idea of the community. It's the idea, and it goes from the micro, so in Robby, the way we have it set up, we call it a network on a single robot, which is really a community of sensors and whatever is on the robot that are doing, you have cameras, you have LiDAR, you have ultrasonic sensors, you have whatever you have. I think of those as one of these communities. And the community leader for that is what we call the MCP, the Master Control Program.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of Robby is it could also be the one that sits on that more macro community that is combining the robots with the car wash. And it can also be the one that's sitting on the community above that's combining the fleet of autonomous cars with the group of car washes. They're all exactly the same kind of community. The structure of the community is always exactly the same. It's just the way they combine together. And I guess what I find attractive about this is it's really wide open and flexible. So each of these, they can be completely amorphous. They can be whatever they need to be at the moment. And that's a big part of the design of Robby about that. It's about making these things be able to communicate with each other on a completely freeform basis.
Yeah.
You can build rules into it, and you can build restrictions, and you have to have rules, and you have to be able to shut things down when you need to, and that's the community leader's job. And in our model, that's the MCP. So that's my notion of communities.
Yeah. And it is interesting, and it's possible with the way that Robby's architected or designed.
Yeah, and it's possible because of its simplicity. Robby does really a very, very simple thing, but it in that simplicity, it gives you the flexibility to build these communities like this right out of the gate, and it's almost free. It's just adding another device to your robot. Well, that device that you're adding in there happens to be another robot, or it happens to be a leader computer that's running 20 robots, or anything in between. Or it can be a automated conveyor system in a warehouse and a group of warehouse robots, and someday a group of autonomous trucks that are coming to the warehouse.
Yep.
So that's where we're trying to go.
Michael says that it sounds like a union.
Yeah, or a communist community. That's right. Yeah, well, I'm a commie at heart. Not really, but I wouldn't make a very good communist. Robby Hoffa. Hey, that's Robby with a Y, man. Isaac Asimov's Robby had IE. We're Robby from the movie. This really sounds like the Daleks. Yeah, probably. We are scary people. You know what the Daleks are, Francisco?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
from Doctor Who.
I'm never sure which science fiction things you didn't grow up with all the same science fiction stuff as me. So.
I think Knight Rider is probably the one I grew up with.
Oh man, Michael Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
He interesting thing about him. I don't know if you met Asimov. Wow, sorry, got to enter. Michael says he met Asimov. Wow, that would be big for me. Asimov has always been like one of my heroes. But anyway, David Hasselhoff. Did you know in Germany he's like one of the most revered characters there?
He is.
It's a weird thing. Yeah, I don't get it, but but yeah, oh yeah, he's the Hoff. He's like a huge star. I don't know if he still is. When I was over there in the early 2000s, everybody talked about Michael Hasselhoff or David
Wow.
Hasselhoff. Sorry, that one just got me because I never, I always thought of him as kind of just this TV actor guy that was a pretty face, I guess, for women, but didn't do that much for me. But I guess I think he sings even or something.
Yeah.
He's a big deal over there.
Yeah. That I know.
He signed your foundation book. Wow. Yeah, I was much more into the robot books. Although I read the Foundation series 2 or 3 times. I've read all the robot books probably 5 or 6 times each since I don't know. I started when I was about 12 reading Asimov books.
I remember that. Oh shoot! Someone's here.
No.
So yeah, I have an Alexa here in the office. So if we ever lose we need a copy of the live stream. At least we'll have the audio. We can go to Amazon and get a copy of it, Lee.
And everything else you say during the course of the day. Yeah, going back to that disturbing thing about collecting information. Yeah, I haven't done the Alexa deal yet, although I probably will at some point.
DoorDash.
Yeah, I wish I could get DoorDash up here.
Yeah, it's actually Instacart, and not too far from it.
So Instacart, is that where they send a robot with the groceries to you, or is it a person?
No, no, that was no, Instacart is someone driving. It's similar to Uber Eats. But
Okay.
Instacart is started for doing groceries, so you could give that person a shopping list from a supermarket, and they'll go do the shopping for you and bring it to you.
And you guys do that?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
We started doing it when the pandemic happened, and then
Okay.
we didn't feel comfortable going to the store, and then we just
Yeah,
let's just
yeah.
start Instacarting, and we got used to it. So
How much do they charge you? I'm just curious.
the prices of the groceries are pretty much the same as they are if you went in. You do pay a yearly fee. I think I paid $79 for the year. Um, so I'm pretty sure that they probably have a deal. Instacart has a deal with the supermarkets that they work with.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it just costs you $79 and you can do it as often as you want.
$79. Yeah, and then if you want to tip the person who did the shopping, that's up to you.
I see.
So yeah, it's not too bad. I think DoorDash is different. My experience with DoorDash is that they jack up the prices on the food. Like if you go pick it up or you go into whatever restaurant you want to get food from, the prices are cheaper than what they are on DoorDash.
Okay.
So DoorDash is more expensive. Like for example, if I order a burrito from, let's say, Chipotle, which is like what, $8, 7, $8 if
Something
you
like
go
that.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I the whole thing ends up costing me close to $20.
Wow.
for a burrito. Yeah, so it's like no, it's not worth it in some
Yeah,
cases.
yeah, yeah. But $79 for the year and that's as many trips as you want.
Yeah,
Wow, that seems like a pretty good deal.
yeah,
I
yeah.
doubt if they
That's
bring it up here. It's like
yeah. That's it's
40
kind
miles to the nearest grocery store from
of.
here.
Yeah, and then there used to be other services. I think we were talking about that the other day. We used to have Food Jets, Grubhub. Grubhub's still around, but it's not as popular as DoorDash. I think DoorDash is winning that race over even Uber Eats. Um, and the little robots you were talking about, that startup is called Starship, and they were
Okay.
working with the Safe Mart here in town. But I think something happened because they're not running anymore. As that last
Oh,
time
is
I
that
heard,
right?
yeah.
Oh,
So
no.
I think what I heard is that they were losing money by running those things, and I think they
Yeah.
were around for like a couple years. You would see them on the street
Yeah,
delivering.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was the finally robots really on the street and out in public and in mainstream life, but not making it. That's too bad.
yeah. I don't know, but I don't know what it was. I haven't really taken the time to look into it, but I know that they were in somewhere in the Bay Area, like I want to say Livermore or Pleasanton, and then they had the pilot going here, and yeah, it didn't pan out, I guess.
Ah, boy, if you're the person that was making or the company that was making the actual robots, that really sucks to have it not work. Your big customer is gone. Your funding's gonna go away. No, it's not good.
Yeah, it's funny when those things happen. There was another startup that went down. Related, or Hussein Bolt, the fastest man on earth.
Right, right.
He started. He was a co-founder in this startup, and they were doing like those electric bicycles that you see in the cities. Like
Uh-huh.
you might find them in San Francisco. Well, he was
Yeah.
doing something similar in Miami, and it didn't work out. Same thing. They just disappeared, and they left a lot of those bikes on the streets. So they're just laying around. Nobody's really claiming them or anything. So
Wow.
it's kind of weird because those things are not cheap, but right. But I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
I guess it was in investors who kind of took that hit, right?
Took it on the chin. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And a lot of people probably got free electric bikes out of the deal.
yeah. So I wonder.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they came and picked up those little robots because I'm pretty sure you can reuse them somewhere else.
Yeah, there's bound to be something they'll be able to do with them. So did you hear about a month ago? You know, they've got the Robo Taxis going on in San Francisco now. I can't remember the name of the company, but there's actually a taxi service now that's serving the public that's hauling people around. And sometime, I think it was a couple months ago, I remember hearing on the radio that at about 4 o'clock in the morning, there was some kind of glitch, and all the taxis went and collected in one intersection in San Francisco, blocked Union Street for like 2 or 3 hours.
Oh wow,
They all just all of a sudden collected in this one spot. I would have, I wished I had a picture of it. It's
wow.
like, are they getting ready to go on strike or what's going on?
I saw a video, and it might be the same company you're talking about, but they're I know that they're using Prius, um, and they're just putting all that technology for them to drive themselves. And one of them got pulled over by a cop, and so the cop goes up to the window. It's like, "There's no one here. What do I do?" And they got it. Someone got it on video. Like you literally see the cop walking to the, you know, to the car. It's like, what do you do?
Oh, I love it. Who do you
Yeah,
give the ticket to?
yeah. So
No, that's a good
kind
one.
of going back to what I was saying, right? It's like I don't even think there's a process, for something like that.
Yeah, with the laws not catching up. Well, that whole autonomous vehicle thing, the big conundrum in it is the insurance.
Yeah.
It's, when you get injuries start happening, or I mean, you're seeing it in the Teslas already, but wait till it's true autonomous cars.
Yeah.
Opening a company that will mine asteroids. Well, you probably got a little way. You better have a pretty long runway on that.
Umbrella Corporation.
Universal Exports.
That's funny. Code Sally. Hey, thanks for joining. We have someone new. They left a comment. He's saying something to watch while coding. Nice.
Oh, I thought that was Michael saying that. Oh, I didn't see that. Welcome. We always like having new people come to watch our drivel. And you missed most of the drivel tonight.
But we'll be back next week.
That's right. Every Thursday. Unless we miss it, and then it's Friday. But we've been pretty good lately. We're getting more reliable.
Yeah. We even started on time today.
Imagine that.
We had to wait actually before we went live. So we were ready to go minutes before. That's good.
That shouldn't be that big of an achievement.
It's baby steps.
That's right, baby steps. That's right.
Next episode, I'm gonna have some articles to talk about.
Hey, well, I saved your bacon tonight. I had some.
Yes, you did.
Well, we're getting about down to wind up time.
Yeah,
here.
I think it's about time. We're more than 45 minutes into it. So thanks everybody for joining. Michael, again, as always, we appreciate you being here and always keeping the chat going.
That's right. And thanks for coming, Code Sally. Nice to meet you. And
All
yeah,
right.
Michael, we're always glad to have you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good
Bye,
evening
everyone.
or morning, wherever you're from.
Wherever you're at, whenever it is. Bye.
Bye-bye.